Time for our regularly scheduled Beloit City Council meeting. It is now 5 minutes after 7 o'clock on Tuesday, January 22nd, 2013. I call the meeting to order and the roll call. Madam Clerk.
Roll call shows all councilors present except for Councilor Levy.
Item number 2 is Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item number 3 is special orders of the day and announcements, and we have one. We would like to invite Christy Howell, Director of the Beloit Public Library, to come forward and speak.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
I realize you have a lot on your agenda tonight, so I will try and keep my comments relatively brief. As you know, I have accepted the position of Library Director for the Vigo County Public Library in Terre Haute, Indiana. This position is going to be a new challenge and a step forward in my professional development, but it also comes with personal benefits as it's an opportunity for me to live and work in the area I grew up in the area where most of my family still resides. Tonight, I just want to say thank you to the council for your support of the Beloit Public Library and your support of my efforts as library director. You made a commitment to library services when you endorsed the building of a new library facility, and the library board and staff have made a commitment to raising the bar and providing library service beyond the expectations of our customers. The library is no longer a warehouse full of books. The library is a vibrant, accessible, and welcoming destination for our families, small business owners, students, teachers, seniors, and community agencies. The number of people visiting our facility continues to grow each year, and the library staff are constantly evaluating the programs and services that we offer. We teach classes, host seminars, sponsor guest lecturers, facilitate discussion groups, and even provide a reading therapy dog. We exist not just within the facility on Eclipse Boulevard, but in the schools, daycares, hospital waiting rooms, farmers markets, and festivals. The Beloit Public Library is truly a community treasure, and our success is due in large part to the support we receive from library stakeholders, including each of you. You have appointed an outstanding Library Board of Trustees, and the new library director will have the benefit of reporting to a creative, forward-thinking, and fiscally responsible governing board. I value your interest and your investment in the library, and it is my sincere wish that you continue to be supportive of library services and appreciative of the impact that we have on the lives of Beloiters. It's been a pleasure for me to work along library staff and trustees as well as city staff and officials, and I am confident that all of you will warmly welcome the next library director into the Beloit family. I fondly wish you the best in your endeavors, and thank you.
Christy, for my part, I think that your new approach to programming and the things that you brought forward with some of the electronic books and some of the other programs were just amazing, and I appreciate it very, very much.
Thank you.
I think anybody else would like to chime in and say.
Mr. President, I would just have a question of Ms. Howe. What is a reading therapy dog? The dog that reads?
Reading therapy dogs are being utilized throughout the nation in a variety of capacities. Ours is used primarily with young readers, specifically reluctant or struggling readers. Studies have found that children in elementary school settings that are struggling with reading often find the pressure of reading aloud in a classroom setting or even to a parent to add an element of stress that can cause them to stumble over their words and struggle with pronunciation and comprehension. And just the environment that's created by being sitting on the floor with a dog's head maybe on your leg, petting a dog, reading to the dog is a much less stressful environment for them, and it's shown to make a difference in their reading progression. So
Does this animal work with city councils from time to
you can look into that. I can put that on the next director's to-do list.
time? Thank you.
Councilor DeForest.
I would like to personally thank you for the quality and professionalism that you have brought to the programming at the library, and I know you will be missed greatly, so I certainly wish you well. They're very fortunate to have you, and I hope you know how much we've appreciated what you've done for the city of Beloit and its residents.
Thank you.
Councilor Spreitzer.
I also wanted to thank you for your leadership. It's been a pleasure working from you and hearing from you at our different planning workshops and budget workshops, and wish you the very best in your journey.
Thank you.
And Councilor Kincaid.
You know, in filling an important position like this, it's rare that we can find both a leader and a manager in one person. And all one has to do is go in that library and see the consequences of our success. And I want to thank you.
Thank you. It's very kind.
Thank you. Item number 4, public hearings. We have none today. Item number 5, citizens' participation. We've reached the point on the agenda for citizens to speak to the council about issues that are coming before us or may become before us in the future. The council members may not act on any requests at this meeting, but may refer a speaker to staff for assistance. I have no sheets indicating someone wanted to speak, so I'll go ahead and offer this to the floor. Does anyone wish to come forward and speak under citizens' participation? Second call for anyone to come forward and speak under citizens' participation. And a third and final call for any person to come forward and speak under citizens' participation. Hearing none, I'll close item 5, the citizens' participation portion of the agenda, and move forward to item number 6, the consent agenda. All items listed in the consent agenda are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a council member so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the general order of business and considered at this point on the agenda. The consent agenda consists of items 6A through 6C. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion.
Moved by Lupke, second by DeForest. All in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Consent agenda is passed 6-0. Item number 7, ordinances. Madam Clerk.
A proposed ordinance annexing the properties located at 1035 and 1041 Udell Drive from the town of Beloit to the city of Beloit. The Plan Commission recommended approval 5-0.
Mrs. Christensen.
Richard Kappel and Jana Conway have submitted the petition for annexation of 1035 and 1041 Udell Drive. They currently live in these single-family dwellings. Both of the houses have failing septic systems, so they would like to connect to our sanitary sewer line. There's one that currently exists in front of Udell Drive because 2 properties, 1028, 1040 Udell Drive, were annexed to the city in 1992 and 1993. These properties are within our 208 sewer service area, and Plan Commission did recommend approval unanimously at their last meeting.
All right, do we have a motion to suspend the rules?
So move.
Moved by Spreitzer,
Second.
second by Van de Bogart. Do we have any discussion on suspending the rules? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor of suspending the rules, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We've suspended the rules 6-0. Do I have a motion on the merits?
Motion to accept.
Moved by Lupke,
Second.
second by Kincaid. Do we have any wish to discuss this matter? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor of approval, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We pass the ordinance 6-0. Item 8 are appointments. We have 2 tonight, or 1 actually to begin with. Incumbent William Howard to the Municipal Golf Committee for a term ending December 31st, 2015. Do I have a motion to approve the appointments?
So move, Mr. President.
Moved by Van de Bogart,
Second.
second by DeForest. All in favor of approving the appointments, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We approve the appointment 6-0. A secondary appointment is appointing Kevin D. Levy to the Downtown Beloit Association Board of Directors. We have a motion to approve.
Move approval, Mr. President.
Moved by Van de Bogart,
Second.
second by Spreitzer. Anyone wish to discuss this? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That appointment's passed 6-0. And on to councilor activities and upcoming events. We'll let Councilor DeForest start.
Thank you, Mr. President. I was pleased to be able to attend several activities commemorating Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I enjoyed the citywide church service at New Zion, and then also the breakfast where all of my colleagues were present. It was a wonderful time to reflect upon our responsibilities to do our part to fulfill Dr. King's dream. I'd like to especially acknowledge and congratulate 3 of the students that I personally know who received scholarships as they pursue their post-secondary education. Congratulations to Alante Walker, Crystal Griffin, and Logan Tillman. I'm so proud of them for their efforts, and looking forward to hearing more from them as they attend college or universities in the future, and hopefully enticing them to come back to Beloit to serve the community here. I would also like to extend my condolences to my colleague, Councilor Kevin Levy, and his wife Ruthie on the passing of Ruthie's father, and just let them know that we're thinking of them and that we're offering my support and prayers. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Van der Bogart.
In addition to the MLK activities that Councilor DeForest has already referred to, I would point out we've got several things coming up here in the community. The Roy Chapman Andrews Society presentation on the 1st of February in Eaton Chapel for the public, and the individual who's the chief scientist for the Mars rover that successfully landed in August of last year is the honored scientist or explorer this year. And then, of course, the Beloit International Film Festival is gearing up with reveal parties and requests for volunteers, and I would encourage everyone to participate in that as well.
Councilor Kincaid.
I too went to the breakfast, the MLK breakfast. It seems each year it gets more energized. It's possible that this year it was even compounded by the inauguration of the president. For those who would like to continue with the events at 8 o'clock tonight, I think we might even be able to make it. There will be lectures at Pearson Hall on the Beloit campus, Beloit College campus, and tomorrow at 8 o'clock also. Tomorrow night, the Calypso Hips will be performing, in addition to some fairly serious discussions as well.
Councilor Lupke.
Besides the events that were mentioned already by previous councilors, I want to mention that Thursday will be the 3rd in a series at the Vision Center, hosted by Dr. Jeff Adams of Beloit College, talking about vision for Beloit, past, present, and the future. A very entertaining series, and I think most of the councilors have been at those meetings. It's at noon on Thursday at Vision Beloit. One of our very own, Nate Tillis, with the sewer water treatment plant, has been honored by being in a national publication. And I just want to thank him and the team out there. I think the article stressed the teamwork that's gone into the work here, and if anything's going to succeed in city government or school government or whatever, any type of functioning work, it's got to be a team. It's just not one person, and this article stressed that. The featured individual is Nate Tillis, but Nate was very forward by touting the team he works with and the leadership there, Henry Mathos. And last but not least, I want to thank Tony, our Sergeant-at-Arms, who's at all of our meetings and does an excellent job of keeping an eye on security for us. Thank you, Tony.
Councilor Spreitzer.
Thank you. I also had the privilege of attending the MLK breakfast and the City Center seminars with Jeff Adams, and look forward to attending the one on Thursday. I also attended the retirement party for John Calkertz at the Senior Center, and I'm looking forward to participating in Winterfest.
And well, I have very little to add. I think we were all actually every one of us went to the prayer breakfast, and I attended the convocation. I sat down in front, and if anyone else was there, I didn't see you because you didn't come forward. And I was lonely. Okay, but at any point, I think all of the other events that everyone's mentioned are important events, things for people to get involved with. I look forward to seeing you all at any one of those. Thank you. Okay, so next is item 10, City Manager's presentation.
The presentation regarding recent changes to the city's animal control policies and procedures.
Good evening. I promised to make this brief. We have a few slides that we're going to detail some of the highlights of the animal control process for 2013, and we'll go from there. I'll take questions at the end. So I think I got my clicker control ready. Can you manage to it? Okay, we'll just set that there. Basically, just a recognition that we are required to have a humane officer in the city once we took over responsibility for animal control. That person currently is Sergeant Pam Fuller, who's a certified and trained humane officer, which is just a requirement that we have somebody who can evaluate abuse, neglect cases at a higher level. We will additionally train some of the CSOs, humane officers, as time progresses this year. We're also working with the Deputy City Attorney on some training post an ordinance that passed just last week that allows us for the CSOs to do some enforcement action for follow-ups on some cases, license violations and the like. We continue to work with Rock County Humane Society at a level that we have routinely within the hours and confines that we're open, and we maintain a very professional relationship with them during this period of time. Next slide. Stray animals basically is stray animals that might be encountered as citizens are encouraged to be taken to the Rock County Humane Society during business hours. If they're not able to be contained or contained for a period of time, then we'll arrange for them to be transported to an appropriate facility, whether that be Rock County or Dane County. Next slide. Abandoned, impounded, and seized animals, and some strays are taken to Dane County simply because that was a service that they were able to provide for us during that time. Some strays are taken there during after hours. Those that need medical care, that have to go to the Exceptional Care for Animals in Madison, that's under contract for that service. So we do take them there. Animal bites continue to be investigated similarly as they have in year past. Anything that scratches the skin or a bite requires there to be a quarantine of the animal for a period of time, whether that be at the home or at a location where it can be housed, and we continue to investigate those regularly. Same process before. People are encouraged to call the non-emergency number at the Rock County Dispatch Center for any animal complaints, animal bites, barking dogs, those types of things, and we'll continue to investigate them as we have in years past. Questions?
Thank you for your
No problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Captain Tyler.
Yep.
All right. Item 11A.
A resolution approving the contract with the state of Wisconsin for statewide structural collapse team members.
Good evening. This is a maintenance resolution. We're currently under a contract with the state of Wisconsin for providing team members for the state structural collapse team. We entered into this agreement last spring, and because there was a lengthy legal review and concerns from the state, we ended up being just a little bit late last spring on this issue. So all that stuff has been worked out, and this is a successor agreement. This resolution will allow us to enter in successor agreements as long as there's no substantive changes. The state continues to look at how they can provide these critical services throughout the region. Basically, what happened is there were 13 teams throughout the state. The numbers and members were around 450 members. There were just too many members for the state to manage and continue to train, so they cut the team size in about half. They centralized resources with all of our response assets at Volk Field, and then allowed many of those 13 teams to remain a local program or local access to collapse rescue services, and then took portions of each team throughout the state by application to become a member of the state team. So this is just a reaffirmation of our continuing to be on that team membership, and if you have any questions, I'd entertain them at this time.
We have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Moved by Lukey, second by DeForest. And Councilor DeForest.
Just for clarification, for the public's sake, correctly, the state pays for the training and pays for the response time that our firefighters are involved. Is that correct?
Absolutely, yes. They reimburse us a contract amount. I believe right now it's $43 per hour while they're deployed, and then they cover them for workers' comp. They cover them for disability if the person was injured while on a call and were just not able to return to duty with the Beloit Fire Department. They would be covered with the state for disability also. So.
Great. And then the individuals involved, this is a voluntary assignment, is that correct?
Yes, they're members of our state line technical rescue team. We have a 22 department state line area technical rescue group that deals with building collapse, trench rescue, confined space rescue, and high angle rescue, rope rescue. And our 13 team members come from that particular team. They volunteer for this extra duty and extra training, and it increases our capacity to respond here in the city.
Great, thank you.
Councilor Vandenberg.
How often have our individuals in our team or on our team been called upon to respond to statewide events?
Fortunately, there has not yet been a response. Our largest response that we've had regionally or locally, is the recent Robinson School collapse, where our team was activated for that particular collapse. Previously, we've also had, for our local team, responded to our tornadoes in Boone County. We were on standby for the Stoughton tornado and standby for the Racine Kenosha tornado in February a couple of years ago. So we have had also several local responses where a car has been driven into a structure around town. Those types of responses where we've responded locally with our own resources within the department.
Thank you.
Councilor Kincaid.
Did the responses, or would the responses involve the use of city equipment? And if so, are we compensated for that or for damages?
Only within our response areas for the State Line Technical Rescue Team, which is basically the counties next to us in southern Wisconsin, and then the northern Illinois counties. Those are all provide team membership. So that's kind of our sub-regional response area. We respond with our own equipment. When the state team is deployed, they actually travel to Volk Field, muster there, and then deploy with the resources that are available from that location. So only in the situation where it's within our own mutual aid area would we be using our own equipment, and we would be responsible in those situations.
Understand.
For that
Thank you.
Any other councilor questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor of approving the resolution, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item passes 6-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chief. Item number 11B.
A resolution approving an amendment of the agreement between the City of Beloit and Managed Care Retirement Health Savings Plan.
Mr. York.
Good evening. This item's a carryover from the previous council meeting 2 weeks ago. I think there was some confusion at that time regarding the fact that the city actually has two retirement health savings accounts with the ICMA Vantage Care Program. There was an amendment that was done in November of last year, and that amendment was for the account that was set up a few years ago when the Rock County took over the health department, and the health department employees left city employment. They were able to convert their accrued sick leave at that time to a retirement health savings fund, and we set up a separate account at the ICMA just for that group of employees. And this resolution here will amend the second plan that we have with the ICMA for all the non-represented employees for the city. Our non-represented employee personnel policy allows for the conversion of accrued sick leave at retirement into this retirement health savings fund to cover medical related expenses of the employee and the employee's spouse or family during their retirement years. And that's what this resolution is authorizing, is the amendment of the plan to essentially from age 55, when it was originally set up, to age 50. We've had some employees, particularly in our public safety departments, that retire prior to age 55, and this will allow them to have access to those funds before age 55 for health-related expenses that they incur during retirement. With that, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Moved by Lupke,
Second.
second by Spreitzer. Do we have any additional questions? Now that we've got the language and we're all clear now. Okay, hearing none, that's all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Item passes 6-0. Now on to item 11C.
A resolution authorizing the issuance and sale of approximately $7,330,000 of general obligation refunding bonds, Series 2013A.
I think if everyone's amiable, we can go ahead and just have one presentation for all three of these items.
I would certainly suggest that.
Right, I think that it would work out quite well.
We've actually got three separate resolutions for council consideration. There were actually three refunding bond sales this morning. As the clerk indicated, there was a $7.3 million general obligation tax-exempt issue that refunds a number of tax increment district outstanding debt that we have currently. And there was a second issue for our water utility to refund actually the original outstanding, what's remaining of the original outstanding debt of the bonds that were sold back in 2003 when the city acquired the water utility originally. That's about $5.7 million in refunding bonds for the water utility. And then there's a smaller issue that's a taxable GO issue of $885,000, and again, that's predominantly in two tax increment districts that the city has. We did realize fairly significant savings this morning as a result of these sales. In total, it's close to $750,000, so it is a fairly significant savings to the city. And with us this evening is Dawn Gunderson. She's with Ellers and Associates. They're the city's financial advisor. They're the ones that handled the transaction this morning for us. And I'll let Dawn take over now, and she's going to go through the details of the sale that took place this morning. So, Dawn?
Thank you, Mrs. Gunderson.
Thank you. We distributed to you a packet of material entitled The Sales Results. I'll just walk through and point out a few highlights from that packet. Beginning on page 1, we've got a copy of the rating report. The city had a rating review with S&P, Standard & Poor's, has maintained its A+ stable rating for all of its existing debt, including this issue. And that this issue for the, both general obligation issues, the taxable and the tax exempt. On page 4 of the packet is the summary bid tabulation for the general obligation tax exempt refunding. The $7,330,000 was the final sale amount offered to market. We received 3 bids, with Morgan Stanley being the winning bid at 2.5087% true interest cost. The other bids were from Baird in Milwaukee and Hutchaki out of Chicago. The actual savings that was realized on that issue can be found on page 6. The future value savings for net of all cost of doing the issue are $235,174. On a present value basis in today's dollar, that's $191,355. The structure and the savings is a level savings by, as Paul mentioned, there's several tax increment districts, so each of the tax increment district will receive level savings throughout the duration of its commitment. The total refunded savings is about 2.8% of the principal being refunded. The threshold that we try to adhere to when doing those is that there'd be a minimum of 2% savings for an advance refunding. The second issue in your packet is actually the taxable general obligation refunding bonds, the 2013C on page 7. The final issue size for that is $885,000. This issue, we had 5 bids received this morning, with the winning bid from Bosk Inc. out of Milwaukee. They are, it's a division of Bank of Oklahoma. Their winning bid was 1.76%. In addition, we had bids from UMB Bank of Kansas City, Northland Securities of Minneapolis, Hutchaki of Chicago, and Cronin and Company out of Minneapolis. And those bids are also included on that bid tab. The actual savings then on refinancing this issue is found on page 9 of the packet. On this issue, we have a future value savings net of all costs of $61,000. The average annual ranges between $5,000 and $9,000. The present value in today's dollar of that savings is $57,093, and it's a 7.18% savings of the amount being refinanced. Again, to that 2% threshold that we target in doing this type of a refinancing. We've also included the rating report for the water utility. The water utility is rated an A, stable, 1 notch below the city's rating by Standard & Poor's. I might point out, too, that the Standard & Poor's also reviewed the stormwater utility as a surveillance and maintained the rating of that utility as well. So this, as Paul mentioned, was refinancing the original issue that acquired the utility back in 2003. The final sizing of that issue is $5,745,000. This issue and debt service payments are paid from the user fees of the utility, and that's the pledge for security on the issue, rather than the other issues being your general obligation taxing powers. The water utility had 5 bids, Baird out of Milwaukee being the winning bid at 1.496%. Fidelity Capitals out of Boston bid on the issue, as well as U.S. Bank Corp. Out of New York, Morgan Stanley out of New York, and Hutchinson Shockey out of Chicago. This refunding provides savings to the utility, found on page 15. The future value savings net of all cost, $451,328. That brought to is on an annual basis near over $60,000, between $62,000 and $67,000 a year. The present value savings, $418,074, and the principal being refunded, a savings of 7.37%. So we're pleased to report these savings opportunities to the city, and certainly glad to answer any questions that any of you may have.
Do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Vandenberger.
I think you need to do it individually on each one.
Right, we will be. Yeah, we'll be 11. That would be 11C then. 11. Yes. Okay. Move to approve by Van de Bogart. And who's
Second.
Second by Spreitzer. Any questions?
If I could.
Excellent.
The question I would have, Ms. Gunderson, if you can, maybe you can't, can you speculate as to what the interest structure would be like if the city did not have an A-plus stable rating, if it was something less than that? Is there a rule of thumb, each time you go down a notch, the interest rate goes up X amount?
It's not as clean cut as that, but I can tell you that the difference between being rated and non-rated can be as much as 0.5% difference. If you didn't hold this rating, you'd be paying that much more in your issue. Certainly an A plus is a good, strong rating, and the rates are reflective of that. So if you did not hold that rating, it certainly would be higher, and incrementally it would be as the rates or the rating scoring would go down.
Mm-hmm. And is there any thought, I know we strive mightily to maintain a fund balance, and I think I've been told at least, that's one of the key elements in the rating process. And that, should that be a third rail of municipal financing, that we do our very, very best to leave that where it is or at our policy limits, to keep these ratings as high as they are to save us this money?
I can tell you that that is a key indicator that the rating agencies do review, and especially if you've adopted policies, they feel it very important that you adhere to those policies if you've set minimums. Not only that is the association that kind of governs nationally, internationally, the Finance Officers Association, they set standards too on what they recommend that a rating fund balance should be maintained in order to be considered a worthy credit. So I think it's very important. I mean, not that there aren't needs at time where you may need to use fund balance, but I think it's important that it's not a trend that it's being used for operations. Occasionally you might look at using excess reserves for capital needs, but I think it does have high value in terms of the rating agencies that you do have an adequate fund balance and that you maintain that.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Any other questions on item 11C? All right, then I believe we have to have a roll call vote on this one.
DeForest. Aye. Kincaid.
Aye.
Spreitzer.
Aye.
Haynes.
Aye.
Lupke.
Aye.
Van de Bogart.
Aye.
And that passes 6-0.
Item 11D, do we have a motion to approve?
Mr. President, I move approval of 11D.
Second.
Moved by Spreitzer, second by Lubke. Do we have any additional comments on item 11D? All right, I guess we'll call the item on a roll call vote.
Counselor DeForest. Aye. Kincaid.
Aye.
Spreitzer.
Aye.
Haynes.
Aye.
Lupke.
Aye.
Van de Bogart.
Aye.
And that passes 6-0.
Okay, item 11E, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll move, Mr. President.
Moved by DeForest,
Second.
second by Kincaid. Do we have any additional questions or comments on item 11E? Okay, we'll move to the question.
Counselor DeForest.
Aye.
Kincaid.
Aye.
Spreitzer.
Aye.
Haynes.
Aye.
Lupke.
Aye.
Van de Bogart.
Aye.
And that passes 6-0.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. All right, I believe that concludes everything, so we're down to item 12, adjournment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Moved by Lupke, second by DeForest. All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.
Sorry, did I give you a chance to plug this?